Hi friends, my name is Sachin and I'm author of an upcoming book called Wealth Sutra. Firstly, thanks for the response on my first video, which was Union Budget 2020 highlights. I got a lot of mails, calls, messages, etc. Where people asked me a couple of questions, they thanked me, they asked me clarifications, etc. Now, in context of this Union Budget 2020, one important query which I've got from a lot of people is, Sachin, there is something called new tax regime. Can you please explain me the concept and related aspects? How do I choose? Is it applicable, not applicable, etc. So this specific video, friends, this specific video I have made for explaining that concept. So in this video, there are three things which I'll be giving you. The first is we will understand the concept of what is the old tax regime and what is the new tax regime. The second important point, what will happen is that I will give a system. Yes, there is a system in the form of a template where I'll explain you step by step based on parameters for whom this scheme is applicable, what is the basis of the incomes which are computed under this, and how do I choose this. So this I'll give a proper system to analyze in this video. The third most important part is that you'll be very happy for this. I'll also be sharing a template which I'll explain you as and when we discuss. And also at the end of the video, after completing the video, there will be a link which you can click and download. This template will help you to compute your tax under the old regime and your tax under the new regime. And then you can choose what regime you want to use. But before proceeding this, let me tell you two very important points on this. The first important point is that this proposal for the option of new tax regime is still proposed in the union budget bill, meaning what? This is a finance bill which is proposed. Now, whatever we are discussing today, it may be possible that once this bill becomes a law in maybe a month or two, there may be some changes. And if there is, I will be explaining you the changes with a new another video. So what I'm saying is this is still a proposal. It's not a law still, which will take a month or two. Second important point, a lot of people are telling me that I want to go to the old regime because the tax is less. I want to go to the new regime because the tax is low. I'm not able to get exemption, reduction, etc., etc. What I would suggest is that please don't look at this regime only from tax perspective. As a wealth guide, as a wealth coach, I personally believe this, that you need to see 360-degree angle of this tax deduction. That is a new regime. One is from your wealth planning, second is from your financial goals, third is from your retirement planning goals, fourth is from your insurance planning goals, and so on and so forth. So before getting into the detailed discussion about all these aspects, I would like you to tell that these 2 points are very important and please bear them in mind. Now let's start the discussion. Now what I will do is I'll present you the screen and so that you can understand clearly what I'm meaning. As I said, I will explain you firstly the concept of the old and new regime. So I think the screen is come up on your system. Now, friends, as I said, there is the old regime and there is the new regime. Now, before you go to the table, just understand this concept. What the government is saying is, if you choose the old regime, you will be eligible for certain exemption, losses, deduction, etc. And then you will pay the normal rate of tax. Now, I have given a template in this. If you see here, there is normal rate of tax and there is also the new tax regime. Okay. Now, please understand and take this step by step. Don't hurry. What I'm trying to tell you is this is the old regime and here are the tax rates. This is the new regime. Here is the tax rates. Now, let's come back to the flowchart. As I said, in the old regime, you will be sticking to the old rate tax slabs, which I explained you. In the new regime, what the government is saying, number one, I'm going to give concessional rates of tax for certain slab. Number two, they are not allowing you certain expenses, losses, deductions, etc. Please bear in this mind. For example, in context of salaried employees, you will not be eligible if you choose this new option for HRA, for standard deduction of 50,000, for a home loan interest, LTA, and certain other exemption and deduction. So again, I'll repeat. Under the old tax regime, the government is allowing the normal tax rates, which are same as the last year. If you choose the new tax regime in that context, first is that you will be eligible for concessional tax rate, but subject to your slabs. Second, you cannot claim certain exemption laws and deductions, which anyway I'll explain you, which is there in the template. And the third most important point is that there are certain parameters on choosing it. Now, this concept I hope is clear between new tax regime and old tax regime. Now, just to make you understand, I will again show you that if you see this here, just a second. Yeah, if you see this, choose between the options. As I said, the government is allowing you to choose between the options. Okay. Yeah, I think there was a little bit technical issue, but anyway. So what I'm saying you is that this is the old option where you can see you can claim certain allowances, exemption, deductions, and this is the new option where you'll be eligible for roll rate, but you cannot claim certain allowances, deduction, and exemption. So this is exactly what I told you about the concept of the old regime and the new regime. I hope I'm clear. Now, I told you that I'm going to give you a system where you are going to understand about how do I know for whom it is applicable, how do I know where I have to choose, etc., etc. So, friends, here it is the first point you have to understand. This are you an this is applicable only for individual RHU. So, what I have done in this flowchart is I've given a pattern. Let's go through this. Are you an individual RHUF? Now, if the answer is yes, then you proceed further for the scheme. Otherwise, if you are non-individual or non-HUF, then you are not eligible for the scheme. So, in simple words, what I'm saying, if you're an individual who is running a business or has a salary or has interest income, rental income, or a retired person, etc., etc., then specifically this scheme is applicable. Otherwise, it is not applicable. Also, there is other part which is called as HUF, for whom it is applicable. HUF is basically under the Hindu undivided family. You have to create an entity based on legacy, property, etc., etc. I don't want to go in detail. Let's restrict it to individual. So, fine. Coming back to this, friends, you could see that once you are falling under this category, the next parameter which you have to choose after the parameter of whether you're individual and HUF is what is your income category. Now, there may be two income categories. The first one, if you see here on the left hand side, I've said is if your income includes business. So after you qualify the first parameter, the second parameter is of your income. If a person has business income, okay, in that case, he can choose the new regime. I've written here that he can choose the new regime. But the condition is this, my friends, that after you choose the new condition, that is especially people who are having business income, once in a year, the year when you choose, you cannot change the next year. So say for example, you choose it in 2021 financial year. Again, I'll repeat, if you choose it in financial year April 20 to March 21, then in such case, next year you cannot change. I think the government has put a restriction considering that, there may be certain tax advantages for business people. So to conclude, if you're having a business income, in that case, you can choose the regime that is a new tax regime, but in next year you cannot change. Also, there is an exception that if you cease to have business income, then you can fall back on the old option, which is implied. Now, this is very important discussion which you're going to have. In context of people who don't have, who have income other than business income. So I'm talking salaried income, interest income, rental income, which you can see in this chart, flow chart. In all such cases, these people can choose this option year on year, meaning what? I'm sorry, there is no restriction for you to choose it year after year. So, meaning what I'm trying to tell you in simple words, if you're a person who is not having business income, then you can choose this option easily year after year. There is no compulsion on you. But have this bearing in mind, my friends. I told you in the initial, if you take the new regime, you cannot claim certain exemption, losses, deductions. So, in context of salary, HRA standard deduction of 50K, LTA, and also the home loan interest cannot be claimed. There are detailed aspects and detailed what you can say parameters for this, which is there in the template, which you can see later. Now, friends, I hope this system is clear. Now, let me get into the most important part of the discussion. A lot of people are asking me, Sachin, how do I choose this? Now, here is what I'm giving you the idea and or rather the steps. But please remember, this is my specific view. This is my perception. Different people may have different perceptions. This is specifically my understanding and my interpretation of the law. So what you need to do is, once you get this template, you need to first understand this rate of tax and all this so that you know that what you can claim, what you cannot. And then, friends, what you need to do, come to the old regime, compute your taxes here. Okay, there are certain exemption deductions, etc. After that, you'll get, these are all auto filled and there are tax salaries. I mean, there are taxable rates automatically become. Secondly, you come to the new regime, compute the tax here. Now, as I said, don't look at the comparison of tax and then take a decision just because you have low rate in the new regime. You take the new regime. Of course, I know there is reduction of tax, but what I'm saying is, consider your financial goals, your investment goals, your wealth planning goals, and also cash flow goals. And based on that, you take a decision. So let's get started. As I said, understand the tax rates. Number one. Number two, compute your tax under the old regime. Number three, compute your tax under the new regime. And then see, aligning with your financial goals, how you want to proceed forward. Now, there is this flow chart also where I have told that it's very helpful to flow through the process. Now, this is one of the most important points in this third discussion which I'm giving. If you see here, friends, the people who are having income from 2.5 lakhs up to 15 lakhs, if you see, this is my perception, only they are getting the benefit. So if you see here bold, I have made, these people are getting 10.4 as against 20.8 in the new regime. Here also it's 15.6 and here it is 20.8 and here it is 26. So what I'm trying to give you a message, in my perception, I'm telling this new, adopting the new scheme without exemption, deduction, losses, whatever we discuss, is helpful for people who are having income up to 15 lakhs. Please understand what I'm saying. I'm saying, in my perception, this will be helpful only for people who are having income up to 15 lakhs. And of course, you can recompute your exemption deductions and see if you're coming under 15 lakh, go to the new regime. If not, again, I'm repeating that my perception, if you see the the rates over and above 15 lakh, all are almost equal with surcharge and cess. So what I'm telling, over and above 15 lakhs people who have this income, who plan to adopt this regime, new tax regime, please take a call, because I have a view that it may not be helpful for you and you will be akin to the old tax regime. Now, one more important point, in context of the business people, there are specific deduction and exemptions allowed. I cannot go in detail because they are very micro level, and to be frank, I don't think so they are much relevant also, much applicable to a lot of businesses. So friends, here is a summary. We understood the concept of the old taxation regime and new taxation regime. Old taxation regime is directly you compute the tax based on the rates which I have explained you now. Directly go and claim all your exemption deductions, whether you're salaried or business people, it doesn't matter. Second important point, as against this, the new tax regime. Number one, it is applicable only for individual and HFF. Number two parameter, you cannot claim certain exemption, loss and deduction, whether you are salaried or non-salaried, it doesn't matter. And third most important thing is that in context of salaried people and other income people who don't have business income, they can choose every year. Whereas people who are having business income, they have to choose, they have an option to choose 1 year. Once you choose, you cannot change next year unless your income is foregone. Clear? Okay. Coming to the computation part, as I said, very crystal clear. My view is that people up to 15 lakhs only may get this benefit. This is my perception. You can take a call, compute it based on the templates, and then take it forward. Now, finally, here is what I'm telling you. Please use this template, also give it to your friends, families, and ensure that this is a copyrighted material. Just let it stick to you, personally only to you and your friends. Also, I'll be adding value in this manner in terms of your wealth building, in terms of your financial planning, etc., etc., in forms of videos which I'll be releasing. So I hope, friends, I explained you in detail and you understood. Please ensure that if you have any queries, if you have any feedback, inputs, etc., request you to please email at info@sachinguru.com, info@sachinguru.com. You can also give comments and suggestions through the email, which will welcome. So I hope this has been useful to you. Download the template, use it for your wealth planning and not only tax planning, and take it forward. So friends, That's it for now. I'll be coming back with more of wealth planning and financial planning goals for you so as to support and help you to elevate your financial life. Thank you. This is Sachin signing off, upcoming author of a book called Wealth Sutra. Thank you.